Friday night wasn't just another game on the calendar. It was a real eye-opener for the Golden State Warriors. And yeah, let's just call it what it was, a blowout. But not one that should send fans into panic mode. Because if anything, this was more of a statement from a Portland Trail Blazers squad that's been through the ringer lately and still found a way to punch above their weight. After all the drama involving Chauncey Billups and the illegal poker game scandal, having Tiago Splitter step in as interim coach and immediately get a big win, that's not just rare. That's a jolt of adrenaline for a team with very little going for them this season. Let's be real here. The Blazers are not contenders. They've got talent gaps all over the place. Scoot Henderson, as hyped as he was coming in, hasn't turned that corner yet. They've got Jeremy Grant, who can give you some solid nights, but he's not a franchise changer. And Drew Holiday is long gone. So there's a vacuum of veteran leadership too. But even with that, they came out and embarrassed the Warriors. Not because they're the better team overall, but because Golden State just didn't show up the way they needed to. And when you peel back the layers, you see why. First off, Al Horford didn't suit up. No surprise there, he's not playing back-to-backs. But in his place, the Warriors gave Quentin Post a chance in the starting lineup. And that's a move fans have been waiting for. Big man, 7-footer, brings a different kind of presence to the court, especially against a Portland team that likes to play big. But unfortunately, the production just wasn't there. 5 points, 4 boards, and a -3 in the plus-minus column. Not exactly the kind of impact you hope for when giving someone that kind of opportunity. Still, the biggest issue wasn't Post. It was the turnovers, 25 of them. That's a brutal number, the kind you just can't have if you're a team with championship ambitions. And yes, it's early in the season. There are going to be growing pains. New lineups, guys figuring out their roles, chemistry still developing. But 25 giveaways? That's not about chemistry. That's about focus. That's about discipline. That's about taking care of the basketball, something Steve Kerr has preached for years now. What makes it even more frustrating is that, in a lot of the other areas, the Warriors weren't bad. They out-rebounded the Blazers. They played decent defense at times. They even got more defensive boards despite Portland throwing out a front line of legit bigs. But none of that matters when you're giving the ball away that much. Because every turnover is a missed opportunity on offense, and often an easy bucket the other way. Then there's the shooting. Portland was lights out from deep, knocking down 47% of their threes. The Warriors were decent, around 42%, but when you're losing that battle and also turning the ball over a ton, you're digging a hole you can't get out of. Free throws? Same story. Golden State went 84% from the line. Not bad at all, but Portland was at 92%. So, yeah, you get the picture. The Blazers were sharper, cleaner, more focused. And they wanted it more. Which brings us back to the idea of a moral victory. For Portland, not Golden State. This is a team that's going nowhere this season, but they showed fight. They showed that even after all the chaos, they've still got pride. And that's something. The Warriors, on the other hand, need to use this as a wake-up call. And speaking of wake-up calls, let's talk about Brandon Podziemski for a second. Look, the kid's confident. Maybe a little too confident. Talking about wanting to take the reins when Steph Curry retires? That's a bold statement. But when you make those kinds of declarations, you got to back them up with your play. Through the first 3 games of the season, he's putting up just under 9 points a night, 5 rebounds, and only 1 assist per game. Shooting 36% from the field and 30% from 3. That's not going to cut it, especially for a guy who sees himself as a future franchise cornerstone. Yes, the rebounding is impressive for a 6'4" guard. No one's denying that. But that's not where the focus should be. His job is to facilitate, to score, to create opportunities for others. 1 assist per game? That's not the stat line of a future floor general. That's the stat line of someone still figuring it out. And that's fine. It's early, but when you're talking like you're ready to be the next Steph, the expectations go up fast. He needs to slow down on the talk and speed up on the development. Start seeing the floor better. Find open guys. Get them the ball in the right spots. Show that you can run an offense, not just float around and wait for your shot. Because right now, that confidence is teetering on becoming a distraction. This is a team built around cohesion, built around selflessness. And when one guy starts talking more than he's producing, it creates ripples. We've already seen how distractions can derail a locker room. But at the same time, we've seen how strong starts, like Jonathan Kuminga's this season, can silence any doubters and keep the focus where it needs to be. Kuminga came out strong and made sure his name was in the mix for meaningful minutes. He let his play do the talking. That's what Pods needs to do. Now, looking ahead to the next challenge, the Memphis Grizzlies. It's a game that could easily be overlooked if the Warriors aren't careful. Zach Edey's not playing, which gives Golden State a bit of a size advantage, especially with Quinn and Post able to stretch the floor a little. But this is not the time to get cocky. The Grizzlies still have Ja Morant, and while Desmond Bane is out and they're missing some other pieces, they're not pushovers. Jaren Jackson Jr. is still a force, and his matchup with Draymond Green is going to be physical. It's going to be gritty, and you can expect Kuminga to get some minutes on him too, rotating between those two on Jackson to wear him down and try to limit his impact. And let's not act like the Grizzlies are limping into this one. They've had a mixed start, but they've shown flashes. Beat the Pelicans, got smacked by the Heat, then turned around and handled the Pacers, a team that just went into double overtime with the Thunder. So yeah, they've got some momentum. Maybe not a full head of steam, but enough to make this game dangerous if the Warriors take them lightly. Golden State needs to treat this game like a playoff matchup, like a must-win, not because the season's on the line, but because setting that standard early matters. It's about building habits now that will carry into the meat of the schedule. Because after Memphis, things don't get any easier. Clippers, Bucks. Then you roll into November with the Pacers, Suns, and Kings. That's a tough stretch. No room for complacency. And speaking of those upcoming games, Sacramento looks like a real threat this year. Russell Westbrook has fit in with that squad like a hand in a glove. He's still got juice, still dangerous in transition, and if you lose sight of him, he'll make you pay. So this isn't just about beating Memphis. It's about tightening up, cutting those turnovers, and locking in for a brutal stretch where every possession is going to matter. Golden State's on the right track overall, but games like the one in Portland show just how quickly things can spiral if they lose focus. The comeback against the Nuggets last week was a great sign, proof that the fight is still there. But they can't keep relying on heroics to bail them out. It starts with fundamentals. Protect the ball, move the rock, and take every opponent seriously, no matter what their record says. One of the most frustrating things for fans and coaches alike is when a team as experienced and as talented as the Warriors slips into bad habits that they know better than to repeat. That's what Friday's loss really came down to, a team that knows how to win, choosing instead to play down to the level of their opponent. And it's not the first time we've seen that in the last couple of seasons. Golden State has this tendency to flip the switch on and off, as if they believe they can always just rally late or count on Steph to save the day. But that mentality doesn't cut it anymore, especially when you're dealing with a Western Conference that's deeper than it's been in years. This next stretch of games is going to tell us a lot about who this Warriors team really is. They've got the Clippers and the Bucks coming up, two squads with completely different styles, but both capable of exposing weaknesses. The Clippers are finally starting to click with James Harden finding his rhythm and Kawhi Leonard looking healthy. They're playing with pace and purpose, and you know they're going to try and punish the Warriors physically. And then there's Milwaukee, a team with size, discipline, and that Greek freak who never takes a play off. If the Warriors walk into those matchups still careless with the basketball, still relying on individual brilliance instead of team execution, they're going to be in for a rough ride. And that's where the younger guys like Moses Moody, Podziemski, and even Quinn and Post come in. These are the games where they can't just be passengers. They need to step into their roles with confidence, but also with discipline. Moody's defense has been steadily improving, and he's shown flashes of becoming a real 3 and D contributor. But he needs to be more aggressive offensively, especially in second units when the offense can get stagnant. Post, on the other hand, brings something the Warriors haven't had in a while, true size with shooting touch. But unless he asserts himself physically, sets hard screens, and starts finishing plays in the paint, teams are going to stop respecting him and start exploiting him. What's encouraging is that the coaching staff seems to be aware of all of this. Kerr and his assistants have been gradually giving more minutes to guys who show they can make smart plays. The leash on careless turnovers is getting shorter. And that's what needs to happen if this team is going to stay competitive as the season grinds on. Because once December hits, the schedule tightens, the games get tougher, and those margin for error moments disappear. Jonathan Kuminga has been one of the few bright spots early on. His energy, his defense, and his ability to get downhill quickly in transition have made a real difference. He looks more comfortable, more confident, and, most importantly, more patient. He's not rushing his shots or trying to force things the way he used to. He's letting the game come to him. And that maturity is exactly what you want to see from a young player with his potential. The coaching staff has clearly been working with him on decision-making and understanding spacing. If he keeps this up, he's not just going to be a rotation player. He's going to be a game changer. And look, Steph is still Steph. There's nothing really new to say about him that hasn't already been said, but the fact that he continues to perform at an MVP level while mentoring the next generation is incredible. He's not just putting up numbers. He's leading by example. But even Steph can't do it all. Klay Thompson has to start hitting shots consistently again. Draymond needs to keep the emotional edge without letting it boil over into technicals or ejections. And Wiggins? He's still way too quiet on some nights. You watch the game and almost forget he's out there. That can't happen. When Wiggins is aggressive, driving to the rim, pulling up in transition, and locking down the opposing team's best wing, the Warriors are on a different level. But he disappears far too often, and that inconsistency is killing them in tight games. Then there's the looming pressure of time. This isn't a rebuilding year. This isn't a let's see what happens kind of season. The front office went out and made moves to give this core one more real shot. They brought in veterans who know what it takes. They leaned into development without giving up competitiveness, and they've made it clear that they expect results. That kind of pressure can be motivating, or it can become a distraction if things start to unravel. The key will be staying healthy, staying locked in, and keeping egos in check. Speaking of health, the absence of Al Horford in back-to-backs is a reminder that the Warriors have to manage minutes smartly across the board. It's not just about resting guys. It's about making sure that when the playoffs come, they're not limping in. That means getting consistent contributions from the bench, so the starters aren't playing 35-plus minutes every night. That means trusting the young guys to hold leads or close quarters without always needing Steph to bail them out. Before we continue, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any exclusive Dubs updates. Let's keep going. In what could be the most shocking twist of the NBA offseason, whispers are swirling around the league that Giannis Antetokounmpo, the reigning MVP and two-time NBA champion, has reportedly agreed to join the Golden State Warriors. Sources close to the situation claim that the Greek freak is set to don the blue and gold, sending shockwaves through the basketball world and igniting speculation about a potential dynasty reboot in San Francisco. The move, if confirmed, would instantly transform the Warriors into a nearly unstoppable juggernaut. Golden State, already loaded with Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green, has long been a powerhouse, but the addition of a generational talent like Giannis could push the team into unprecedented territory. Rumors suggest that front office executives have been quietly negotiating for weeks, crafting a deal that might include creative financial maneuvers to accommodate the superstar without disrupting their core. Fans and analysts alike are buzzing with what-if scenarios. Could Curry and Giannis form the ultimate offensive duo? How would Steve Kerr manage two MVP-caliber players on the same floor? And perhaps most tantalizingly, could the Warriors reclaim the throne as the NBA's dynasty, this time with a new twist? Social media is ablaze with speculation, memes, and heated debates, with supporters envisioning a back-to-back-to-back championship run reminiscent of the Warriors' glory days. Of course, nothing is official yet. Both the league and the players involved have stayed tight-lipped, fueling the frenzy even further. Insiders insist that a formal announcement could come any day, with contract details still under wraps. Meanwhile, rival teams are reportedly bracing themselves for what could be the most formidable lineup in recent memory. The mere hint of Giannis in Golden State colors has already sent bookmakers scrambling to adjust odds for next season's title race. While skepticism remains, after all, the NBA has seen its share of tantalizing rumors that never materialized. The chatter is impossible to ignore. If true, this signing wouldn't just be a trade or a free agent acquisition. It could mark the start of a new era, one that blends the Warriors' championship pedigree with the unstoppable force that is Giannis Antetokounmpo. As the rumor mill heats up, one thing is certain. The basketball world is watching, holding its breath for what could be the most sensational move in recent NBA history. Stay updated exclusively with the latest Dub Nation news. Subscribe to our channel and hit the like button to keep getting daily updates on the Warriors. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments. Your input is essential for the Dubs community. Stay tuned for the next video.